Alright, welcome back to the Gore Report, one and all. I had an issue with some of my audio on this one, so I'm kind of narrating after the fact, but as you can see, I actually get to ride a bike that I've been looking at for quite some time now and been curious about. This is the LiveWire One. Used to be the Harley-Davidson LiveWire, but looks like they kind of split off in a way. Obviously, I'm at actually at my local Harley dealership riding this one because that's where they do have them available. So if you're looking to test ride one yourself, I think most dealerships have a demo bike you could take out. I just went ahead and booked an appointment, and they got me set up to go do this. So pretty excited about taking a look at this thing and just giving it a go. I've never ridden an electric bike before. Never really been in anything like this. I'm just curious to see what it's about. You can see they have a ton of bikes at this place. It's really probably the biggest Harley dealership around. But this is the LiveWire One. Looks kind of like, and I'll probably date myself for even saying this, but reminds me of like a Street Fighter style bike. I know that, now everybody says they're sport nakeds or whatever, but I kind of grew up knowing what a Street Fighter was, and it kind of has that aesthetic to it. You can see he's just explaining to me the controls on this thing. Super easy to use, by the way. The LCD is really easy to see. All the controls are pretty intuitive. It does have cruise control, which I think is kind of cool. Although I don't know, it's just not something that I would necessarily use. I don't do long highway stints though, so if I did, I probably would dial that in and use it. But this isn't really a highway bike anyway, so I didn't end up using that. Does have different rider modes as well, but I left this one in road mode for the entirety of the little trip that we went on, just to see kind of what the basic function is. I would assume road mode is probably what everybody's going to be doing, kind of cruising around in that, so I figured I'd leave it in that and see how it went. We just did a quick little loop around where the dealership was. Gentleman there is explaining to me where the loop is and where we're going and stuff like that, because he will be leading the way on this cool looking bagger that he picked out. But here's me hopping on the bike. You do have to pick the kickstand up first, or else you will not be able to activate it. So get that on, and then this little button here on the side, it's like a regular start button on a bike that you'd be used to for the starter. Just push that down, and then it glows green on either side of the screen, and you know you're ready to roll. So at this point, I'm ready to go. Checking my halfway useless mirrors, although I will say it's kind of weird riding on this thing, it being electric. The mirrors don't vibrate, obviously, because the bike doesn't. So that was kind of odd. I mean, not in a bad way, obviously, but it was not something I'm used to riding on a Himalayan all the time, where once you get it buzzing, the mirrors kind of are all over the place. But about to take off here, and I notice, just have some notes here, kind of what I was noticing along the way. Throttle from nothing is not snatchy like I thought it would be. You think you have torque from nowhere, torque from zero on these things, and you think maybe it'll kind of take off from a stop, but it doesn't. It's really easy to use, really easy to get used to using the throttle on this, and all the ergos were pretty good. You're in more of a tack position, because it is, like I said, more like a Street Fighter-ish kind of vibe, but it's not uncomfortable. It's not like true sport bike, low clip-on kind of, hurting your back stuff. So it was fairly comfortable, pretty smooth ride. I know it has adjustable suspension front and rear. I didn't even look at what the adjustments are, obviously, but it seemed to work fine for my weight. I didn't have any issues going over bumps and stuff like that. Um, right here, we're about to get on a highway frontage road. So what I do here is just give him a little bit of room to get out in front of me so that I can whack the throttle open a little bit and see where we go. So let's see, I'm only going like 30 miles an hour to start here. To be honest with you too, I didn't really look at the speedometer a whole lot during this thing. It commands your attention when you're whacking the throttle open, so not necessarily looking at how fast I go, but man, you can see you open up the throttle and the thing just goes. It is fun. You know, to have that kind of acceleration and torque just available instantly was great. I think this is something that, you know, if you're at all curious like I was about how these things ride and how this stuff looks real world situations, I would encourage everybody to go test ride one, even if you're not necessarily interested in buying, you know, just to give it a go, you know, see what it's about. And cruising at these speeds, you know, we're not doing anything crazy, but you know, it was pretty smooth. Obviously power delivery is smooth because it's electric, but I think from what the sales guy told me, the 150-mile range is kind of ambitious. He said they usually get, you know, maybe a little over 100 miles out of it. So, you know, this is not something that you're going to be looking at as a weekend warrior or, you know, taking trips on. We just don't have the infrastructure to be stopping and charging your bike every 100 or so miles, especially on the freeway. You're working against the wind a lot, so your range is going to go down by a decent amount. But what I would see this as being is, you know, somebody who commutes back and forth to work every day, somebody who, you know, maybe you have 30 mile one way or something like that. You can commute into work, you know, maybe even charge it up while you're working if you have a longer commute, and then cruise it home. You know, it's great for that. I think it would be great in the city. It's really narrow. Everything is pretty compact. So if you're in a, you know, a city or state that allows you to split lanes and stuff like that, you're going to be more than happy with this thing. And then, you know, to scoot in and out of cars with that instant torque is pretty incredible. It's like nothing else I've experienced. Usually bikes, you know, everybody knows kind of the mantra of the sport bike is you kind of got to wring its neck a little bit on most of them to get them to really respond in the way that you'd want. And this thing from absolute zero just takes off like a rocket ship. So it's really fun to just tool around in, and you know, I'd probably have more fun in stop and go traffic on this thing than having a sedate ride where you're just holding a constant speed or something like that. It's just fun from a stop. And I'll tell you too, you know, in this road mode, I didn't have to use the brakes a whole lot. The regenerative braking slows the bike down a pretty decent amount, and I'm used to rolling off the throttle when I know I'm going to have to stop, and then using my brakes, you know, coming up to it pretty gradually. I don't like to, you know, stomp on it or anything. And, you know, you can see in this, I was hardly using my brakes at all coming up to the stop right here. I think I used the brakes, you know, maybe 2 or 3 times the whole ride. It was kind of cool. And the only question I would have, and I didn't look this up yet, is if you're, you know, full off the throttle and the regen is working, if your brake light comes on, or do you need to at least, you know, tap the brake one way or the other just to engage your brake light so people know? just as a safety precaution. That's something that I thought of, but um, that's not a difficult thing to do. So we're coming back up on the dealership now, so I'm getting ready to turn in and park this thing. But man, I had a blast. Even that short ride was just so fun, and it's so cool to experience something that you don't normally get to ride on. I mean, electric bikes are few and far between where I am, and it's cool that they had one. That they'll just let you take out for a spin and do what you want to do with it. So hopefully this was at least somewhat informative or entertaining for some of you guys. But that was my little cruise on the LiveWire there. Powered it off with the button, kickstand down, and that was it for me. So if you like this video, like the content, don't forget, give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you're interested in more of this stuff, and give me suggestions if you have anything else that you'd want to see me ride. As always, don't forget, get out there and ride, guys.